right, this seems to be working.
Could you please enable share screen?
Yes, I'm making you co-host. All right, this seems to be working. Are you able to share a screen, Shalu?
Could you please enable share screen?
Yes, I'm making you co-host. All right, wonderful. Welcome everyone to the Veganism and Global Transformation Room here at the Up Convergence 2020. We are hosting 11 days of global unity here, and this is the first time we're talking about veganism at such a large scale to the peace community. And today we have none other than Shalu Nijavan, who is a certified holistic nutritionist from American Fitness Professionals Association and a health coach. She had a cushy job for 5 years after her MBA, but then she chose to pursue her passion and she learned baking, and now she has her cake boutique in Bangalore. She has been interviewed for many media, both print and on the radio. And today she is going to talk about the connection between meat and the ongoing pandemic and whether we need meat at all to meet our protein requirements. So Shalu, would you please take over and share your knowledge with us?
Thank you so much, Pareen, for the lovely introduction. And thank you for giving me this platform to reach out to our lovely audience today. And I would like to start my screen share and share the video of a talk which we did recently, which is very, very relevant, especially on this platform. So can you see it, Pareen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay.
Thank you. So, hello, good morning, everyone. And yes, I used to consume a lot of meat, and I used to consume everything from chicken to pork to beef, and I've even tried baby octopuses. And something happened in my life. It was my husband's autoimmune disorder, which actually changed my whole perception, and it changed the way I look at food now. My husband was suffering from ankylosing spondylitis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And he was having a lot of pain and stiffness in his back, for which he was taking painkillers and steroids every day, just so that he's able to sit, stand, and walk. But none of the doctors were able to help him. So we were looking for alternatives, and we came across Sharan. I attended a couple of seminars with Dr. Nandita, where she explained very nicely why it is important that we eliminate meat and dairy from our lives. So we made the shift immediately, and in 3 months, his pain and stiffness was gone. He was even diabetic, so that was also gone. And he was not taking any more pills. He wasn't taking any painkillers or steroids. And that was such a beautiful change in our lives that I thought of educating myself more on this and sharing my journey and my experience with as many people as possible. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. I'll just start my screen share. I hope you can all see it.
Yes, we can, Shan.
Okay. So before I start, I would just like to ask all of you if you consume meat or if you
thought about it.
Yeah, right. So the
habit is another one.
Habit, correct. That's like conditioning. We've been conditioned to think that it's good for us or it's okay to eat it, right?
Introduced by my parents. Prashanti says we've been given by family.
Yes, because they also never gave it much thought, and they also thought that they're doing the right thing by giving you meat because they thought it's healthy and it has a lot of protein in it, right? So protein and taste are the two more important reasons. Of course, there are other reasons, but the primary reasons why most of us feel it's okay to consume meat is because either we think that it has a lot of protein, so it's good for us, or we like the taste of it. So let's have a look at both of these in a little bit of detail. So when we talk of protein, protein is really important for us. We need it. It's the food for growth and repair. But how much do we really need? I don't know anybody who's had a protein deficiency, but I know a lot of people who have kidney issues or liver issues, which are somehow related to excess protein intake, right? So, uh, uh, how much do we need, and why is too much protein bad for us? So there are a lot of researches done on this topic, but I'll just share one research with you. It was done by a university in Greece, and they studied the effects of long-term high animal protein intake in humans, and they found that when we are consuming a lot of meat, it results in loss of bone density. So our bodies are alkaline, right? But animal protein is really, really acidic. So when we consume excess of animal protein, uh, calcium needs to be leached out of our bones in order to bring it to the alkaline level of our body. And that results in diseases like osteoporosis, arthritis, and other joint pain issues. So this animal protein, which we are thinking is good for us, is actually draining our calcium away, right? And now, even it's really hard on our kidneys to excrete the byproducts of animal protein metabolism, and so we end up having kidney disorders. And then it's also difficult for the liver to cleanse our body of all these byproducts that animal protein creates. And meat intake is one of the leading causes of non-alcoholic fatty liver disorder, which is really common these days. Animal protein intake is also connected with a lot of cancers and how it increases the cancer risk. And then because animal protein, because meat is so high in cholesterol and saturated fat, it also increases the rate at which the coronary artery disease progresses. So it's also connected to that. So these are all the issues that we start having when we consume a lot of meat over a long period of time. So then there are plants from where we get our proteins. So if we want to avoid all these issues that animal protein gives us, we stop consuming meat and we shift to plant-based proteins, which are the first-hand sources of protein. How do animals get their protein? They get it from plants, right? So why not we just take in the first-hand source of protein straight away from plants, which are plants are also very nutrient dense foods. They are high in phytonutrients, and they are so good for us. So if we are consuming fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds, we are getting enough protein that our body needs without all the other risks of diseases. So we can have tofu, we can have chickpeas and peanuts, nuts, seeds. All these are very high in protein. And I'm sure you recognize these people. They are the top sports people in the world today. And, two things are common amongst all of them. Number one, they are the best in their sport in the world. And number two is that they are all vegan. So if they are able to get all their protein from plant-based sources, there's no reason why we should be resorting to meat for our protein, right? Also, we have to understand that we are not designed to eat meat. Our digestive tract is much longer than that of a carnivore, and it's much similar to herbivores. It's very long. So we have been designed in a way that we are able to digest plant-based foods much better than meat. Also, when we look at our teeth, it's very similar to that of herbivores, and our teeth are not like carnivores. We don't have canines so that we can just jump on an animal, bite into it, and tear it apart with our teeth and just devour it raw. We can't do that because our teeth are not designed to do so. So mm, all the people who I just showed you, these sports people, they're doing so good because they are actually following their instincts, and they're putting the right fuel in their body by understanding how Mother Nature has designed everything. And so these are the reasons why we should not be consuming meat, because it's not instinctual. Like when we see an animal walking by, we don't feel like eating it. But if we see an apple hanging from a tree, or a mango, or lychees, we really feel like biting into them and eating. So that is our natural instinct. So we need to start following our natural instincts, and that is how we are going to gain optimum health. Also, high protein should be the reason for not consuming meat and not the reason for consuming meat, because we don't need so much of protein and it causes a lot of diseases, as we saw. It has a lot of saturated fat. Meat has a lot of saturated fat, which is not good for our heart health. There is no fiber in meat. Fiber is really valuable for us because it cleans our body, it removes the toxins, it keeps us fuller for longer, so we don't overeat and we don't gain weight. But when we are consuming meat, we always tend to overeat. Whenever we go out and we consume any non-veg, we tend to overeat because there's no fiber in it. So we need to consume more fiber-rich foods, which are all plant-based foods. It is very acidic, as we already discussed. There is a lot of cholesterol. And do you know, none of the plant-based foods have any cholesterol. Plants don't make cholesterol. But animal foods are very high in cholesterol, which result in blocking of our blood vessels. It might cause stroke or other heart issues. Meat is also high in antibiotics. And that is because animals in farms are constantly given antibiotics through their feed or through injections so that they don't get infections, because they're kept in such horrific conditions. They have so many injuries, and it's really difficult to avoid infections without antibiotics. So if we keep consuming meat throughout our life, we are constantly taking in small doses of antibiotics. And if we fall sick and we really need an antibiotic, then our body becomes resistant to it. That is what is happening to most people who are dying of easily treatable diseases, because they have antibiotic resistance. So antibiotics, which can be life-saving, are actually not able to help us because of the constant small doses of intake that we are doing. Then there are growth hormones, which are injected to animals so that they grow faster and at a much and they grow bigger, so that the profit of the farmer increases. And then when we are consuming meat, we are taking in all these growth hormones, which our body doesn't need. Our body has its own hormones, its own hormonal balance, which which is affected when we are consuming all these external hormones, and then we end up having diseases like thyroid and PCOD, and even type 2 diabetes. There are stress hormones in meat, and animals who are kept in farms, they know that they are going to be killed because they are seeing their family members being killed right in front of their eyes. They know they are next in line. They are in so much of stress because they are kept in small cages, and their adrenaline is at its peak when we slaughter them, and then we consume them, taking in all these stress hormones, and it causes mental issues like depression, anxiety, and stress. And we are all seeing that how common it is these days, right? Meat is also associated with different types of cancers, and we know a lot of research has been done that meat promotes cancer. It also increases inflammation. And I've seen this in my husband's case. When he was consuming meat, he was having more inflammation and he was having more pain. But the moment he stopped consuming meat, his inflammation and pain went away. Also, meat reduces our immunity because of a lot of free radicals. So we know how important our immunity is for us in this current scenario, and we don't want to compromise on it at all. So these are reasons good enough for us to understand why meat is so bad for our health and why we should avoid it. So why were we consuming meat? There were two reasons, protein and taste. We've had a look at protein and we know that we don't need it anymore from meat. Now let's have a look at taste. So many people enjoy the taste of meat. They feel that they enjoy the taste of meat. But you know what? It's not the taste of meat that we enjoy. We add so many spices, which are all plant-based. We add so many vegetables. We add so many herbs to the meat to actually make it tempting for us. And we don't realize that, it's not the actual taste of meat that we are enjoying, but the taste of all these spices, beautiful plant-based spices and herbs that we are adding, which is actually boosting the taste. If we had to eat raw meat, would we enjoy the taste of it? No, right? That means it is not designed for us to eat because we can't eat it in the natural form. In order to make it edible and tempting, we need to add so many plant-based foods to it, right? But even if you really want that taste, there are plant-based mock meats available now. There are plant-based egg alternatives available in the market now. So we can resort to that. But the most important thing that we need to understand is that nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. So we need to set our priorities right. We need to understand our health is more important than our taste. And people in the United States are realizing it. They have been consuming more plant-based meats in March and April this year as compared to animal-based meats. So this change is coming, and now it's our turn. We need to decide if we want to embrace this change, which is going to make our health so much better. And if you see, these are some plant-based foods from one of our classes, and they look so tempting, they look so nice, and they are very delicious. So if we can get all this from plant-based sources, why should we go and kill somebody and consume a dead body, right? So now we know that we don't need meat for protein or for the taste. We have other beautiful sources for all this, right? Now, one more reason is there why we should not be consuming meat, which is really relevant at this time, is that meat causes pandemics. We are seeing one, and we are seeing the devastation it is causing. So most deadly viruses that humankind has seen in recent times has come from animals. And it has not come from animals, but it has come from the exploitation of animals for their meat or for their body parts by humans. So if we look at a mad cow disease or swine flu or SARS or bird flu, they are all coming from these farmed animals who are kept in close confinement and being abused constantly. Day by day, they're just being abused for their meat or for their body parts. That results in these deadly viruses jumping from these animals to humans. And even the starting point of COVID-19 is believed to be a wet market in China, where the animals were being kept in such bad conditions in close confinement. They were being slaughtered right in front of each other. And that is when the virus jumped from them to humans, and now it is spreading so fast. And it is spreading even faster in meat processing plants and facilities around the world. We are seeing that people who are working in these facilities where meat is being processed and packaged are at a higher risk of getting COVID-19. And that's not just outside India, it's even true for India, where in Chennai, the meat markets had to be shut down because there were so many COVID cases around the meat market in the area where the meat market was there. So what do we do to fight COVID-19? We boost our immunity. that is the most important thing that we can do. No mask, no sanitizer, nothing can help us if our body is not strong enough to handle this, if we don't boost our immunity. And how do we boost our immunity? By stopping the consumption of meat and other animal products and increasing the consumption of plant-based foods, basically fruits and vegetables, which are so rich in phytonutrients, and they give us all the tools that our body needs to boost our immunity. So we really need to concentrate on that. And we need to get rid of our diabetes, we need to get rid of our hypertension and other lifestyle diseases, because we are seeing that people who have these underlying diseases are at a much higher rate of ending up in an ICU with COVID-19. But people who are otherwise healthy, their body has all the tools to fight with COVID and they don't end up having complications. So we really need to work on getting rid of all these diseases. And we must understand what is the link between meat, protein, and COVID-19. And I hope I've been able to give you a glimpse of that. Animals kept in confinement, when animals are kept in confinement for their meat consumption or for any of their body parts, it results in the onset of pandemics. And when we have meat processing plants or meat packaging plants, it results in higher rate of spread of these pandemics. And when we consume meat, we are also taking in high animal protein. We are taking more than what we need. And it results in lifestyle diseases. And once we have lifestyle diseases, then our body's capability to cope with viruses like COVID drastically reduces. So it's time that we take our health in our hands and we really work on giving the right fuel to our body by consuming more plant-based foods and no meat and no animal-based foods. And I hope I've been able to share some important points with all of you. And I really urge you to make this change, make this positive change in your life. So thank you so much for listening to me, and over to you, Reena.
Thank you. Thank you, Shalu. It's so true that
Thank you, Pareen.
Thank you, Shalu. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. It is indeed true that, using and hurting animals is the cause of everything that's going wrong with us, isn't it?
Yes.